Good morning and welcome to Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff Show. We have an awesome show for you this week as we talk about all the comics on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, May 5th. This is the weekend of Free Comic Book Day, May the 4th. All these big events that are going to be happening in local comic shops. So we hope that you are paying attention. So you go to those comic shops, get some incredible deals while also placing some amazing orders. On top of that, we have two award-winning writers on today's show in the way of Ethan Sachs and Brian DeCubellis. This is going to be an awesome show, so stay tuned with some big plans.
Hi everyone, I'm Matthias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you.
And this week, we're going to be talking about comics that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, May 5th. Now, this is a big weekend in the world of comics because not only is it Free Comic Book Day this Saturday, May 3rd, but Sunday is May the 4th be with you. So Star Wars fans are likely going to find all sorts of amazing deals and awesome events at not only local comic and game stores, but pretty much everywhere geekdom exists. So all the more reason where you need to get ahead of it. Look at the books that are on Final Order Cutoff. So when you're at your favorite geek place, you can get your pre-orders in for some awesome comics. And the best place to find out what comics are on Final Order Cutoff each week are previewsworld.com/finalordersdue and lunardistribution.com. Now, at previewsworld.com, you'll see a website like we were about to show on screen that will state when the FOC is. You'll see right there it is Monday, May 5th. And this is a perfect place to find books like Image, Marvel, Boom, IDW, etc. on their display. However, if you want a greater and in-depth look at Image Comics as well as DC and Mad Cave, which you won't find on Previews World, you're going to want to go to lunardistribution.com. There you'll see this wonderful website and you'll scroll on down to upcoming FOC. Make sure you're clicked on the right date, May 5th, and you can see everything on FOC over at Lunar Distribution. These are two major distributors for comics. Yes, there are more. Yes, there are other websites you can see this, but these are the ones we find the absolute best and easiest to, check out. And we're going to start it all out at Previews World. Now, you will be able to see everything on FOC on these two websites. We're going to highlight some of the big new number ones and big topical ones. And in a short bit, we'll even get to a great interview with two amazing creators. But let's start it out at previewsworld.com/finalordersdue with Image Comics on FOC this Monday, May 5th. And we're going to start by showing you there are a ton of amazing books. One of the first ones we want to talk about is Dark Honor. I don't want to go too in depth because these are our guests, but Dark Honor is a book just steeped in COVID-19 And I don't mean that in the awkward way that it sounds, but this is a book that is very reminiscent of what we all dealt with in the spring of 2020, but taken to a very dark and action-packed way that makes John Wick look boring. Dark Honor looks incredible. Beautiful cover, as you see, by Fico Osio, and we're going to talk more about that with the creators momentarily. But another one I want to bring up is Feral. I literally just got off the phone with Tony Fleeks, um, who sounds like he has an amazing weekend ahead. This series is getting better and better. And if you grab this week's issue, you saw a bit of a cliffhanger with the kittens. Now we're going to see a fun story that is as fun as Feral ever gets with babysitting kittens. And as you can imagine, as this is Feral, there will be some dark and shocking twists that will leave your jaw on the floor. Another big one is Ice Cream Man. This is now issue 45. This has been running for years. Maxwell Prince has been putting out some absolutely stunning horror anthologies. I love the cover that we have right here by O'Halloran that just screams Rear Window, that classic Alfred Hitchcock film. Always fun, always frightening tales with Ice Cream Man. Jay, who is our wonderful producer today, I mean, in this modern era of horror, is there any particular horror books that are really, holding your attention?
There's two of them, and hopefully about to be a few more once Free Comic Book Day comes out and that IDW book I get my hands on. I got to read that one digitally, but I can't wait to actually hold it in my hands. But Those Not Afraid,
Yes.
it is just, I mean, it's Kyle Starks again. So Kyle is on the same list with Tony Fleeks. If I see their name on it, I'm picking it up. I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm really excited to read The Slasher's Apprentice.
Yes. Yeah, both are actually, I want to say both of those are out this week.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
need to get to my store when I go to comic shop hopping tomorrow with the wife for Free Comic Book Day. We are going to be spending money, and if you're out there and you're doing Free Comic Book Day, drop a couple bucks, go through the back issue bin because they're free for us fans. They're not free for the stores. So make sure you just drop a little bit if you can.
Yeah, no, that is a very valid point. Free Comic Book Day, if you're not aware with it already, reach out to your local comic shop to see if they're participating. The majority of comic shops in North America are going to be celebrating it in one way or another, but it is the perfect time for you to discover something new. Go to your local comic shop and pick up a free comic, hopefully maybe something you don't already read, so you can discover new things, new genres, new creators, and new media and new parts of the medium. But as Jay pointed out, it is free for you. It is not free for your local comic shop. They pay for all those books they give out. So give them a big thanks, a high five, maybe even a hug, and grab a few other amazing comics while you're there. You're getting some free comics. Why not pay for some additional so you walk home with twice the amount of fun? You support your local comic shop, you support your small business and community, supporting friends, and you walk away with more sequential art this way. I love it. In fact, on that topic, as you can see, there is a new G.I. Joe hardcover. This is part of the Energon universe by Joshua Williamson. So there is a hardcover edition with spot foiling. If you think this is cool, not only place the pre-order for it, pick out the Transformers Energon hardcover that is on sale as of this week. So you can see how awesome that spot foil is. I have to say, I grabbed the Megatron, or not the Megatron, the Optimus Prime version, which was the mass market. Beautiful, beautiful foiling, awesome book. Even though I already own all the single issues, I like having that hardcover sitting on my bookshelf. And now I'm gonna have to get Duke to sit right next to Optimus Prime. So, furthermore, I also want to point out obviously there's a lot going on with Diamond Distributions, who own Previews World. So there are a little bit of misinformation. You can always double check your image on Lunar Distribution. Drawing Blood, which we love to death, obviously doesn't have issues 10 and 11 on FOC this week. They actually don't have either of those issues on FOC this week. So you can always go over to Lunar to verify these things. But we just want to point that out. It doesn't hurt, however, to look at these covers and place your orders extra early at your local comic shop. No comic shop is ever going to turn down having their orders early from their favorite customers like you. So continuing on, I want to point out Mommy Blog. It's a one shot by Marguerite Bennett that gives a horrifying twist, because the theme of 2024 and 2025 in comics has been horror, unquestionably. This gives a horrific twist on the modern single mom. This is going to be a dark, I would say fun, but that's a questionable term to use, but dark one shot about a single mother who is an award winning mommy of the year who unfortunately has a very twisted backroom scenario. This should be a fun one. If you've read Marguerite Bennett, she is no rookie when it comes to horror, and no rookie when it comes to single mother stories, actually, as well. So I am expecting a lot from this. Are we moving already over to Marvel? Yes, we are, because a lot of these great Image titles we can talk about later. A lot of wonderful continuing ones, like if you're not already reading Void Rivals, we're taking everyone down with us, or you'll do bad things. You're only hurting yourself, so make sure to give yourself a chance with those at your local comic shop this weekend. But yes, we're going to jump all the way over to Marvel right away. Marvel has some awesome trades and single issues on FOC this week. The first of which, written by two of our guests from last week, Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing. It's Alien Black, White, and Blood. I know that I just came from the movies and I saw a trailer for the new Predator movie, Badlands, and all it gives me is more love for xenomorphs, predators, and other classic aliens. So getting to read some of the best stories by some of the top creative teams, Alien Black, White, and Blood is a very affordable trade, just $18 for 4 thick issues, not traditional size. They are big issues. So you're going to get a ton of awesome stories. Moving on, we have another alien, a symbiote, if you will, all new Venom, and it's going to be a battle of alien symbiotes as Venom fights Anti-Venom. Flash Thompson is back in the Anti-Venom suit going up against, you ready for it, Mary Jane Venom. This is going to be an awesome one. Al Ewing has been swinging so hard on this, and I don't see him missing. These are just grand slam hits with each of these all-new Venom issues, so worth paying attention to. Then if you want something new, Amy Chu is going to be on Emma Frost with a 5-issue prequel series that goes back to the White Queen's Hellfire days. I think this is going to be a fun one if you have ever loved Emma Frost. She has become quite the star ever since the Krakoa age of X-Men, and this will give us a little bit more background on her and perhaps her family. Last time we got a good Emma Frost origin was Brian K. Vaughan, and he set the bar high. I think Amy can clear it with a notable award-winning leap. I mean, what's not to love about the White Queen, right, Jay?
This is one of the coolest characters of most of the X-Men. Like the fact that they took this villain and she doesn't really feel like too much of a villain anymore. It's been a while since I've read any of the books, but some of the stuff I have read recently was really good. Like this character's so awesome. Like I'm glad to see her in her own series.
Yeah, and I love that classic outfit. Like, it is just so iconic. I remember 1980s issue just thinking like, wow. You see the modern day artists doing all these incredible variants from Joel Jones, Ricky Agawa. There is Joshua Sway, a lot of brilliant covers. But in the end, I cannot knock David Nakayama, DNA himself, doing that stunning cover. And yeah, I mean that cover is both so modern and also sends you right back to the 80s with issues 130, 131 of Uncanny X-Men. So a lot of great ones on there. I want to scroll up for a brief moment and point out Amazing Spider-Man #5, the Marvel Rivals cover, because Marvel Rivals is one of the biggest video games of the modern era. It's been actually one of the largest things driving customers into at least my shop, if not your local shop. it's really interesting seeing how that's working, more so than the movies. This video game is sending people in for specific comics, from Jeff the Land Shark to Luna Snow, even the Fantastic Four. It's crazy how we have trailers for a new Fantastic Four movie, but it's Marvel Rivals that's leading the way as people want Malice and other characters. So with Peach Momoko designing new skins for the Marvel Rivals games, I know people are chomping at the bit to download those skins, and they will likely go crazy, if not outright fanatical, trying to get the Marvel Rivals variants that Peach Momoko is doing. Are you playing Marvel Rivals, Jay?
I have not yet. I hear really good things about it, and it's kind of crazy to me that the game has inspired the covers. It's kind of crazy, but that's awesome at the same time. It's a good mix, video games and comics. I mean,
Yeah. No, well, and then meanwhile, we're having a great time of movies. Obviously, Thunderbolts is out this weekend, and we have Fantastic Four coming out this summer. I took my kid actually to see Thunderbolts last night, and we had the Fantastic Four trailer, and he saw Galactus for the first time. This is how I'm just a horrible father as opposed to a comic shop owner. My son had not known who Galactus was until that trailer, and he lost it. He was hoping Galactus was going to be in Thunderbolts. Small spoiler: Galactus is not in Thunderbolts. Sorry, guys. But what Galactus is in is Ghost Rider versus Galactus. J. Michael Straczynski has been doing a series of one-shots pairing up very unlikely characters. And this time we get Ghost Rider and Galactus. And while many of you could say, hey, we have Cosmic Ghost Rider, we've already seen Ghost Rider and Galactus. That is just a Ghost Rider. This is my favorite, Johnny Blaze. Johnny Blaze and Galactus. It's going to be a weird one. I mean, could you imagine an odder pairing than Galactus and Ghost Rider, Jay?
not off the top of my head, no.
Yeah.
I can't. I just imagine Ghost Rider try to hit him with that penance stare.
And that's the question. Does Galactus have any penance over that? Does he even care that his food was eaten? Like, can I penance stare you to be upset about any of the chicken or fish you've had in your lifetime?
That'd be interesting to see, though. Be interesting to see if they try that.
Yeah. But no, I am excited about this. The last few one shots have been great, from Captain America and Volstagg, onward. I'm excited for this, and the best part is they're done in one story. So you get to just go in, drop a $5 bill, and walk away with a complete Marvel tale. So always fun, worth letting your retailer know, because it's hard to judge on one shots. If you talk to your local comic shop ordering manager or owner, they'll tell you, you don't know, because when you have an ongoing series or a mini series, a few issues in, you know how much to order. On the number one issue, it's always a bit of a gamble. But when it's a standalone, it's an absolute gamble. You either order exactly right or you order horribly wrong in one direction or the other. You underordered and everyone's begging for copies they can't get a hold of. You overorder and you're just losing any profit you would have made that month. Ordering comics, difficult thing. It's one of the reasons why we always ask you to reach out to your local comic shop and get your orders in as soon as possible on any of these books that excite you. Speaking of exciting things and big things, because Galactus isn't the only giant thing to attack New York City. Godzilla is fighting the Avengers with David Walker and George Jonti. I mean, George Jonti, who just did hot off The Mandalorian. This is going to be incredible. This is the 5th in 6 one-shots where Godzilla takes on various Marvel characters, leading up to an upcoming Godzilla versus the Marvel Universe. But, I mean, Godzilla, he's no stranger to knocking down buildings in New York. But the Avengers, they're not fans of that. Let's see. What other... I thought Jay was really going to chime in with that. Like, yeah, New York. But
New York versus Godzilla is not a good time.
There we go. All right, but you know what is a good time? Is a big summer event. And I always love the summer events that Marvel puts out, from Civil War, House of M, etc., etc. Right now we have One World Under Doom, But the things that get me the most are the cosmic events: Annihilation, Annihilation Conquest, War of Kings. And we finally have another cosmic level event with Imperial, a 4-issue miniseries from Jonathan Hickman. Yes, Krakoa Age Jonathan Hickman, Ultimate Universe Jonathan Hickman. He is reviving the miniseries or the series Gods and bringing it in with a new way, as we are dealing with a massive cosmic event featuring Hulks, the Empire or the Cosmic Empire of Wakanda, the Guardians of the Galaxy that you would call the Novas, not to mention the actual Guardians of the Galaxy. Everyone's going to be in this. This is going to be a big event and done in just 4 ultra packed issues. I am excited about this. And I think that this is going to excite people who aren't even just the traditional ones that went after the Incredible Annihilation series, because it's got lots of Hulks. Look, the Avengers movie, Tony Stark had that line. They got a Hulk. This has multiple Hulks. And this has me beyond excited. I think everyone's going to be coming out. She-Hulk with a giant sword. Like, if you thought Absolute Wonder Woman was awesome, now imagine Absolute She-Hulk, giant Cloud from Final Fantasy style Buster Blade. This is going to be an amazing one. I mean, Jay, what are your thoughts? Imperial, big cosmic event.
Lots of Hulks. I'm super down. I'm super down. Hulks are. I can't say that I have a least favorite version of a Hulk. There's just something about the character. Maybe it's going back to the days of Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. I've just always had a thing for Hulk. So
yeah. Great covers across the board on this, including Scotty Young and Peach Momoko. So it's going to get a ton of attention. I am very excited about Imperial. And again, it's Jonathan Hickman. The last time Jonathan Hickman did a big space event, it was the Doom one-shot that went to multiple printings, goes for like $40 to $60 on the aftermarket. Hickman cannot fail in the Marvel Universe, it seems, right now. Hickman is the big swinger when it comes to this stuff. There's some absolutely brilliant covers. Once again, 4 issues, nice, tight, controlled story. I think the only thing we're going to have a problem with is by the end of it, we're going to wish it was more than 4 issues. And one that I can guarantee you we're all going to wish is more than the issues originally solicited. The true hero of Marvel Rivals, Kelly Thompson's own Jeff the Landshark, is getting a new series because you cannot have enough of Jeff. From his first appearance in West Coast Avengers on, he has been stealing the show. He is the most delightful creature in the Marvel Universe. Sorry, Lockheed. It doesn't beat Jeff the Landshark. Brand new series. And finally, what we've all been begging for, variants on Jeff. Look at all these great covers from Gudahiro to Stanley R. Germlau, Todd Knock, Ricky Agawa. I mean, this is definitely one that's going to make it into my top 10 at the end of the day. So make sure you stick around to see which cover gets the top 10 and where it gets placed. But I am shocked how impressive Marvel is running this FOC week. It's like they know you guys are going to be in your local comic shop for Free Comic Book Day. So they wanted to make sure that you came in and placed orders for some of the biggest and best this summer, with everything releasing in June. And another big one that they're aiming for is a brand new return to Marvel Knights in the way of the world to come. Now, Jay and I were discussing this earlier, and this has got the most haunting pitch line imaginable, because the King of Wakanda is dead. Feels too early to say that.
It's so heavy. It's so heavy.
But Christopher Priest, a man who is not a rookie when it comes to Wakanda or T'Challa, is writing Marvel Knights: The World to Come, and he's bringing back former Marvel editor-in-chief Joe Quesada to do all of the interior work, not just the cover. Joe is drawing the interiors on The World to Come. Now, Joe, one of the guys who helped create Marvel Knights, is back. This is going to be insane. 6 issues that really affect a dark future in the Marvel 616 universe. I don't know that there's words I can say that can stress how intense this just is already setting up to be. And then that beautiful, beautiful Joe Quesada cover right there that is set in the world of Wakanda. Like, that is going to be something. Then, on a lighter note, I want to point out that we are placing orders this Monday for comics that are going to start releasing in June, which is Pride Month. So for those of you guys who are part of the LGBTQ plus or allies and looking for some fun content, there's a number of books that you'll be seeing over the next few weeks on FOC. One of them is Marvel United, a Pride special, as we have a great list of creators and a great list of characters that all either find themselves in the LGBTQ plus acronym or are wonderful allies of those. This is going to be a fun one. And at $5.99, you're going to get a great thick issue with a number of wonderful variants that you can see on Previews World. So a lot of fun to get, and that will be the first week of June to kick off Pride Month in 2025. A lot of other fun titles. Again, this is a heavy week for Marvel, so make sure you scroll through and check out everything. Things like Namor Last King, one of my favorite recent miniseries from Jason Aaron, and that's coming from the same year that has Bug Wars, so worth paying attention to. We have the final issue of Star Wars High Republic, The Fear of the Jedi, bringing an end to 3 years of epic High Republic storytelling with Cavan Scott. We also have another new one that will kick in, more fun with Mark Guggenheim in Star Wars Jedi Knights, the new ongoing series that is giving us all sorts of fun prequel era tales. So a lot of fun there. Our guests will also be able to talk a small bit about some Star Wars stuff, hopefully, because we are fresh from Star Wars Celebration with all sorts of news. It is great. But the last Marvel one I want to talk about this week is Ultimates 13. Because of that wonderful note of Ultimates 3.0, we are halfway through the second year of the Ultimate Universe. The Maker comes out in 6 months. This countdown of 24 months has been intense, but how will it change as we enter Ultimates 3.0? You're going to want to get that on pre-order right now from the incredible Dennis Camp. It is going to be big. But I have held back our guests way too long. It is time to bring on two amazing creators that I think you will all be excited for. We have two award-winning writers, the incomparable Ethan Sachs and film writer, producer, and director Brian DeCubellis. Please welcome them to the show. I might have got a little advanced and not had them prepared yet. I'll tell you what, let's bring them back after a quick commercial break. Potentially. The fun of live. I'm making our producer's life so much harder. So comics, everyone. What's everyone doing for Free Comic Book Day? Feel free to throw that in the comments. There we go. Okay. The fun of live show. We got everyone. All right. The incredible Ethan Sachs and Brian DeCubellis. Brian, am I saying your last name correctly?
Very close. DeCubellis.
DeCubellis. My apologies. Brian.
That's all right. You're all good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
For coming on. So first off, Ethan, congratulations. Last night you were awarded the Public Education Lifesaver Award from the American Foundation of the Suicide Prevention.
Yes, my daughter and I kind of had a night to remember yesterday. It was pretty amazing. And as I said, there were, just to show people what anxiety is like, it's being a Giants fan and having to give a speech in front of a room that has Michael Strahan among the other people in it. So that was kind of weird.
Well, nevertheless, huge thanks for everything you and your daughter have done. Haunted Girl, which is part of why you won the award, was an amazing
Thank you.
miniseries that is now collectible as a graphic novel. You can reach out to your local comic shop and grab that from Syzygy. And meanwhile, I got to also point out the incredible Brian, who this is, I believe, your first comic, but you are far from a rookie when it comes to writing. Rookie is my word of the day today, it seems. Brian, you have done Trust. You've done Manhattan Nights. You have worked on countless TV shows over the years. What drives you into comics?
Well, I think Ethan over there was a big help in being driven into comics. Basically, this Dark Honor project started as a screenplay that I co-wrote with my partner K.S. Bruce, and it was in the early days of COVID, like very early, and we didn't understand that the pandemic would last as long as it would, but we used the backdrop of COVID in New York City as the setting for our story. And so we ended up shelving it when it was done for a number of years. And it was only through a conversation with Ethan that the idea came up of like, hey, maybe it could be a comic book. And that's how I got here.
All right. So Dark Honor is a new miniseries coming out from Syzygy Publishing, which is put out through Image Comics. And I am honored to host both of you here. Can you tell us a little bit more about Dark Honor and how it ties in to COVID-19 and everything we all dealt with in the spring of 2020?
Ethan, you want to take that?
Sure. I mean, it's a noir story set literally in that March, April through the very beginning of the summer of 2020. And as Brian and I both live in the New York area, I mean, I live a few blocks from a hospital. There was a succession of ambulance sirens all the time, and it was just a very scary time to live in. And what attracted me to Brian and KS's script was the idea of setting a crime story right in the midst of all this. So basically, we follow Rain, who's the protagonist, and she's fresh out of prison, sprung because prisons have to social distance as well, and she's sort of the fallen from grace heir to the leadership of this secret warrior society, and that secret warrior society, the 100, protects the New York City underworld and the five families, and this sort of virus in human form comes to plague all of them in the form of Grigor. Is just amazing villain that Brian and KS dreamed up in their twisted minds. But it's just an amazing crime story that has this very unique setting.
Yeah, I mean, and it really draws you in. There is more action in this first issue than I think, any summer blockbuster could ever handle. Like John Wick couldn't even touch on this amazing artwork by Fico Ocio, who just nails it on every panel. But you guys really, you guys took a dark moment in human history and found a way to make it even darker and more insane with this. So there is clearly some metaphor in the action to some of the things going on with COVID-19. Can you guys talk a little bit about that and how you guys came up with these ideas with this dark human virus in the way of Grigor?
Yeah, I think I'll credit KS with the original idea of making Grigor a metaphor for COVID. So Grigor is a super villain, mastermind, criminal who's coming to take over New York City, much in the way COVID-19 came and took over New York City. In our crime story, Grigor is exploiting all the chaos, and a city is overwhelmed by the virus and can't kind of deal with defending itself against anything else, including the crime bosses of the underworld can't defend themselves. And so the larger metaphor is that Grigor is COVID, and the city is under siege.
All right. And can you tell us a little bit about Rain and what her role is, obviously, aside from being our protagonist?
Ethan, why don't you go?
So she's a very when I was first reading their script, which like the story captivated me from page one, and I loved sort of seeing it through her eyes. She's definitely a flawed character, overcoming a gambling addiction that has kind of torpedoed her life basically up until that point. and we don't skimp on any of the action scenes. And I will say, I just want to segue for 1 second and talk about the art team that's involved with this, because we have a murderer's row of artists, and the way they depicted her throughout the whole thing is just absolutely amazing. Besides Fico, who did the first 2 issues, we have David Messina, we have Gabriel Guzman, who I believe just signed on for Dr. Afra, and Jamal Eigel. So it was literally a wish list on that front. But it's just amazing. Like it's a very consistent, she's just an amazing character, just visually kinetic, and there's so much nuance to her with, overcoming her personal issues with her adopted father, who is, running the secret society, and her gambling issues, and it was a very meaty character to dive into.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, really cool concept, in changing art. Was that something that you guys chose, or your editor, to have art or artists change between issues?
I think, do you mind if I field this one, Brian?
Please.
So I part of my role in the band, because I adapted the script, part of my role in the band was, as the sort of veteran in this medium, was to be the sort of comic whisperer. And, when you're an independent comic, to get like these really great artists, if you're a little flexible, like you can get them between, Dave Messina is doing Ultimate Spider-Man. And so, I don't think you could sign on for a 5 issue, but we can get him for 1 issue. And so I basically had a wish list of these artists that I love. I've worked with Fico before, and just others on my wish list, and our wish list. So it allowed us to really swing for the fences with artists, in a way that's unusual for an independent book.
Yeah. And Brian, I mean, this is definitely an epic story. Can I ask why specifically you chose to go the route of comics as opposed to making this your next big film?
Well, it's a great question. I think when the idea came up to do it in comics, what was so attractive is that there was an instantaneousness to putting that story out there. To make a big budget movie takes a long time. And, we always say it's cheaper to blow up a building on a splash page than on the big screen. So the idea that we could have the scope and excitement and action and breadth of the story that we had written instantaneously in the form of a comic book and trade paperback eventually, to have that whole story there, you're really creating the storyboard for the movie version in the future. And that was a very exciting idea to us.
So does that mean there is potential, if this comic blows up and becomes one of the hottest things on the market, that we could see a Dark Honor movie?
There is that potential.
All the more reason everyone wants to go out to their local comic shop and get a pre-order on this, because I can only fathom how cool this would be on the big screen based on how amazing it is on the page.
Thank you for that. Yeah, FOC is Monday, so get it on your pull list today.
Yeah. So out of curiosity, with Syzygy, what led you guys to go to Syzygy specifically with Dark Honor?
That was Ethan.
I obviously have a great relationship with Chris Ryle, who is an amazing editor and publisher. He's the one who took the big chance on A Haunted Girl, which, due to the subject matter, was not necessarily a home run to many publishers. And so, he's somebody who really, looks at story and is just a great person to develop, your idea and bring it to fruition into a comic book. So he was literally the first person I reached out to, and he got it. He understood, like, it's the cool factor of setting a crime story in this place, in this point of time. It really wasn't much of a need to sell him on it. He was, we had him at hello, basically.
Yeah. And Chris definitely seems to always know when something's going to blow up, from his days with Lock and Key, obviously to Haunted Girl, which, you know, has got so much wonderful attention and press. I think that Dark Honor has a large amount of room to catch the attention and minds of so many in a period that we just weren't focusing on those concepts. We were so focused on being locked inside and the fear of what COVID-19 could do to us. We weren't thinking about what could be going on during COVID-19. So I think you guys have a masterpiece here. And again, I wish I could share interiors with everyone who's watching, but you're going to want to order this and open this book up because this book is just amazing, panel after panel.
So we just got thank you for that. We got so lucky with our artists. You know, they brought so much to it. Each one of them was just so psyched to do it and so great to work with, and just brought so many ideas. And every day that pages came in, it was just like, wow, every single time. So we just got super fortunate that they were available and into it, and had so much passion.
Yeah. And then it would be remiss to not, you know, bring this up. Ethan, you're fresh from Japan, right? You just
Yes.
came back from a Star Wars celebration.
I did. Yeah. It was amazing. I mean, it's my Star Wars is probably my first you know, pop culture love, and it's something I was I remember my first memory is when my father took me to the theater as a 4-year-old in the summer of 1977, and to get a little heavy for a second, when I was in Japan was the 30th anniversary of my father's death in Tokyo. So I was back in the same city where he died 30 years earlier, and I got to, you know, sort of spend that emotional day with my Star Wars family. I was on the big live stage with CB and with Mark Guggenheim talking about Marvel Star Wars comics, and I got to sort of tell the audience of, I guess, several thousand people just about that day and about my father and all that. So it was a very emotional and it's just a great convention. We had a sort of one shot that we did for MetaQuest and ILM, this video game, or not a video game, it's an experience called Beyond Victory, and that was like, people just went completely over the top for it, I guess, because it's not for sale. Like, it's something they could only get there, and we had a signing with 2 of the 3 artists. So it was kind of wonderful chaos, I guess, just the crowds pushing in for the autographs and things like that. So it was definitely one to remember.
That's awesome. And then the cool thing when it comes to you in Star Wars is you're one of the few writers who is not just locked down to either Marvel or Dark Horse Star Wars. You've even, I believe, done IDW Star Wars.
No, I never got the chance before I would have in a heartbeat. But I did. Yeah, Dark Horses and Marvel are both special places, and they're very different lines of Star Wars. So I can exercise different muscles. I don't really kill as many characters in the Dark Horse all ages books.
Yeah. But you have a big one coming up. So if you wouldn't mind briefly talking, you have the upcoming Dark Horse series, Tides of Terror. Can you give us a quick pitch on that? So you can tell
that's actually not me.
Oh, it's not.
No.
Oh, my apologies.
No worries. I would love to take credit for that, but that's not me. Right now, the only thing I can talk about, there is something else in the works, but the only thing I can talk about is the Poe Dameron BB-8 Codebreaker, the first issue of which came out last Wednesday. But yeah, that's all that's been revealed so far.
No worries. My apologies on the misinformation. But Codebreaker, yes, you have Poe Dameron. Can you give us a quick pitch so people can go grab that this weekend for May the 4th?
Yeah, so basically it's an all ages romp. It's a 4-issue. It's nonstop action. It's a lot of fun writing the sort of writing in Poe Dameron's voice, and the story follows Poe Dameron BB-8 on this secret mission to destroy a First Order piece of technology that they think is sort of gives an advantage to the First Order. And then there's a twist at the end of the first issue that shows that the mission is going to be something completely different. And meanwhile, they're being hunted by this enemy ace type pilot called the Banshee of Bastine, who is a First Order TIE fighter pilot is equally matched with Poe. So that you're going to get a lot of action inside and outside the cockpit. It's a lot of fun. I'm used to sort of slightly darker Star Wars fare, so this is kind of fun to write for, more of like a PG than a dark PG-13 kind of thing.
All right. So this gives you all the more reason to go into your local comic shop this weekend. Not only free comic book day, but for May the 4th, you can grab Star Wars Codebreaker while getting in that pre-order for Dark Honor. Before I let you guys go, if anybody wants to find out more, or you want to go, say, watch movies like Trust or Manhattan Nights, and you need to know more about the incredible man who helped put these together, where can people find both of you online?
Ethan, you want to go first?
Yeah, so I'm on Blue Sky and Instagram predominantly. Just Ethan J. Sachs on Ethan.Sachs on one and Ethan J. Sachs on the other. Fortunately, there aren't too many Ethan Sachses, so you'll eventually find me. You want to? Oh, I really want to plug Manhattan Night, by the way, because that's how I know Brian. I used to be a newspaper journalist, and I covered for the Daily News that movie, and that's how I met both Brian and KS. And it was an Adrian Brody starring, two-time Oscar winner. He plays a character that's basically a newspaper journalist. So there is this it's a very beautiful noir. So I knew that they could write a good crime story, from the get-go. So that's actually how I met. So I strongly recommend watching that to everyone out there.
Thank you, Ethan. That is available on Amazon Prime. If you've got Prime, you can watch for free, as is Trust. Trust is on Amazon Prime as well. Thank you for that. And then as far as Dark Honor goes, people can go to Dark Honor_comic on Instagram. And we've got updating news as it goes. We'd love to have you follow us. Oh, there's the B variant from FICO, as you can see.
Beautiful 1-in-10 ratio variant.
Yeah. So so that's the main handle that I'm working under for Dark Honor. There's also a YouTube channel where we're putting some videos, like the teaser is out, and that is just Dark Honor Comic for YouTube, all one word.
All right. So I want to remind everyone, get your orders in by Monday, May 5th. That release is actually at the very end of this month, May 28th. I am very, very excited to hear everyone's thoughts once they pick up their copies, because I can only imagine after the first issue how intense this story gets. So thank you both for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll have you guys
Thank
again
you.
soon as Brian continues his career in comics.
Yeah, we're definitely hoping for a sequel because there's a lot of story to tell. But everyone who's going to get this series will not be disappointed. That is a blood oath, not just a promise.
All right. Thank you guys both for joining us.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. And we're going to do a quick commercial break, and then we will be back with more comics on Final Order Cutoff for May 5th.
Sure, comic books are beautiful, but underneath, there's something more authentic and exciting. The original art. See the pencils, the lines, the shading, as if you were there in the studio watching the artist work. Getting a peek at comics' backstage is easy with the original art experience.
All right, Friday night, guys. Thank you for being here. To be doing anything, the fact that you're here means the world to me.
Nick's pieces are always value priced with your budget in mind, for the beginning collector to the veteran.
And this is gorgeous. You got Aquaman and Mira.
Join the original art experience with Nick and our friendly crew of regulars, even if it's just to enjoy the art. Fridays at 7. It's all part of the experience.
Symphonic verses, Nocturne's romance. A song of romanticized darkness, dreaming death by sleep.
What do you call the place on Spider-Man's wrists where the webs come out? His website. I hate myself for writing that joke, but you'd make me feel so much better if you just visited our website. We have links to our merch, new release lists, all the show info, and so much more. TheEXPLive.com.
According to a statistic that I just made up, people spend 4 hours a day changing the television channel. People who watch The Experience don't do that. Save yourself a ton of time by tuning into The Experience and enjoying our new original programming 7 days a week. And then tell your friends. Think about the money they could save on batteries in the remote alone just by tuning into The Experience. Find out more by scanning the QR code below.
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
Download our app on Google Play and the App Store. It's so simple, even my mommy can use it.
All right, welcome back to Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff Show, as we continue talking about the books that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, May 5th. And we're going to start a continuation of these books with Dynamite, because Dynamite has a big release in the world or universe of Gargoyles, focusing on the beloved fan favorite character, Demona. Greg Weisman, one of the original creators of the Gargoyles, is back with this new miniseries. And this is going to spin out of the big events in Saturday's Gargoyles Free Comic Book Day book. So you can grab the 0 issue for free at your local comic shop this Saturday. And then you have to get your order in for this awesome new series. Always beautiful covers at Dynamite. They know how they're doing it, from Jay Lee to Mark Spears, Hedrick doing an incredible cover, Parr. There's all sorts of fun, but if for any reason you don't feel there's enough cover options, there's always a blank available to get your favorite artist to do an original sketch of Demona or any of the other incredible gargoyles like Goliath, etc. So lots of fun to be had there, and perfectly timed into this weekend's festivity. Remember to go to your local comic shop, pick up some awesome free comics like Gargoyles Demona. Moving into the indie books, we have quite a few, as you can see, from Dynamite through IDW, Dark Horse, and more. So make sure you go to previewsworld.com/finalordersdue to see everything. One I want to bring up is Conan 21, starting a brand new story arc by Jim Zub, who is a master of the Hyborian Age. This new storyline is going to have artwork by Fernando Dagnino. I'm sure I messed up that name, but he does not mess up the art, as you can likely see. Beautiful Dan Panosian cover, who is at the height of his career. That man has decades under his belt, and nothing beats the covers he's been putting out over the last year. So if you're a Conan fan, you definitely want to chime in with issue 21. Even if you're not going after the Dan Panosian cover, there are a ton of great covers from Maria Wolf, Jay Lee, and Jay Gonzo, amongst others. A brand new series that I think is going to get a lot of attention is Goddamn Tragedy from Oni Press. This is Chris Condon's new series. Beautiful Tula Lotay cover you can see there. But it is basically a one-shot 48-page graphic novella. A lot of fun to be had in this 19th century twist that is all sorts of darkness. Then, if you want something a bit more modern, giving you an ending that Netflix could not, Gerard Way is back on Umbrella Academy for the final Umbrella Academy series, Plan B. Look, there was a lot of opinions on the Netflix finale of Umbrella Academy, but we're going back to the original creators, Gerard Way, Gabriel Ba. You got Gabriel's incredible brother, Fabio Moon, doing this stunning cover with a large amount of covers. You don't get a lot of variants on Umbrella Academy, so this is going to be exciting. But we finally get to find out the true story behind the Sparrows as they are in the comics. I cannot stress how excited I am on this because Umbrella Academy, oddly enough, also started out in Free Comic Book Day over 2 decades ago. So to see the end in sight, this is definitely something you want to get your orders in while you're at Free Comic Book Day at your local comic shop. Then a big one at Boom. We loved Power Rangers Prime and were shocked when the VR Troopers made their first appearance there. VR Troopers is now getting a spin-off series from Boom Studios. This classic 90s Sentai Warrior TV show is back with an all-new comic series. This will be great for 90s nostalgia fans, but also a wonderful place if you just are looking for awesome Sentai Warriors and you aren't familiar with the VR Troopers. This will still be an awesome way to go and ties into Power Rangers Prime. So a lot of wonderful indie books that are on FOC this week. We didn't have time to cover every single one, but I want to hop over to Lunar Distribution and talk about some of the amazing DC books on FOC this week. So as always, you can go to lunardistribution.com, scroll down to upcoming FOC, make sure you're on the right date, May 5th, and you can see things like Absolute Martian Manhunter and Absolute Wonder Woman continuing onwards. These books have been stunning. I don't think I need to tell you guys much on this because they are some of the best-selling comics that DC has, if not some of the best-selling comics at your local comic shop. Now, one that you should let your local comic shop know if you're interested are these incredible treasury-size reprints. All New Collector's Edition is getting a facsimile reprint, which does the Superman versus Shazam story. It's Captain Marvel versus Kal-El in an epic blowout battle at large scale size. But because of the large scale and the bigger price tag, not every comic shop is always going to stock it or stock large quantities. So let them know if you want the traditional or foil covers of All New Collector's Edition 58. We have a lot of wonderful continuing series. Batman issue 158 is getting a extra size. If you thought the Treasury was big, 11 by 17 reprint of Jim Lee's first issue of Hush 2, as well as you'll be able to continue on with the third part in Batman 160 in traditional size and that epic 11 by 17 size. There are more covers than you can shake a stick at, as you can see, so make sure you go to Lunar Distribution and scroll through them all. Bitter Roots is continuing with issue 3 of its new volume. We get reprints on various issues of Bug Wars, all sorts of fun that you can view on Lunar Distribution. But another big one I want to point out, for those of you who are looking for some exciting Pride Month releases, is DC Pride 2025. Much like the Marvel one-shot, this is an all-encompassing one with all sorts of incredible LGBTQ positive characters, and it is spearheaded by some of the greatest LGBTQ positive creators and allies, with Tim Sheridan doing a great Green Lantern story in an aging speakeasy / pride community and queer bar in Gotham City. So that's going to be fun. You get Vita Ayala, Joshua Trujillo, and all sorts of other brilliant artists who know these characters, know this culture, and are going to present it in a delightfully perfect way that will be a perfect release for early June. A lot of different covers you can choose from. I have to give Sozo Micah credit because when you can draw two superstar heroes in their traditional civilian garb and you know that's Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, that is the mark of a truly talented artist. So great job coming from Sozo Micah. I mean, are you excited about any of the Pride releases this coming year, Jay? I think we're losing Jay today. Actually, he's been doing a great job producing. I shouldn't say anything other than he is. I am lucky to have him.
Or I can remember that since my power went out and I was out of the room, I wasn't back. I didn't have me in the studio. I was just in the back room trying to talk to you. That Poison Ivy Harley cover, that's definitely getting got. My wife, when she sees this cover, she's gonna tell me to get 3 of them. That is gorgeous.
Well, I mean, I'm excited to see a lot of these characters get spotlight stories. Everything from, one of my favorite gay couples in comics, Midnighter and Apollo, through Alan Scott, which I was a little shocked when we discovered Alan Scott was gay, but I've been loving Tim's incredible storytelling in his miniseries, Green Lantern Alan Scott, and now getting a little bit more of that. You can never say no to Harley and Ivy stories. But even over at Marvel, the Marvel Voices Pride special looks exciting. I can't wait to see what the other publishers are doing as well.
Yeah, 100%.
It is nice that that Pride Month is properly getting spotlight in the comic book industry as we continue on. Again, a lot of great books on FOC this week. You're going to want to go to Lunar Distribution and take a look at all of the fun that DC has.
That Flash 21 cover. Hold on just a second.
Yeah.
You can go back to that, boss. Wow. Yeah. That Superman Flash mashup, right? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Tyler Kirk is just really knocking that out.
Goodness. Love it.
Yeah. So I'm going to unmute myself. I'm going to really quickly let you talk up that Tyler Kirkham piece as I go and talk to my dogs into quieting down.
Yes. Trust me, I completely understand that. My pup stays in the room with me while I'm working, and sometimes he gets all over the place. This cover is just... I have an artist friend. Either one sounds good to me, Ed. Either one, but I have an artist friend named Chris who goes to movie theaters and sells his art for, when there's a comic book movie shown at theater. I think the next time I see him, I want to ask him if he could do something similar to this, because this right here, I want that as a poster on my wall. I love this mashup. This is just chef's kiss right here for me.
I mean, the best part about it is you don't have to question who will win in this race, because I always love the Flash versus Superman races, but that's the fastest man on Earth.
That one is probably right up there for me with the Sonic Flash mashup that I've seen.
Yeah, that was definitely one that made it to our top 10 a few weeks ago, and I am glad we did, because I hope your local comic shop ordered up. I hope you ordered up on it, because that's already jumping in price on the aftermarket, and it's only out for 2 days at this point. So good reason to pay attention to our top 10 when we discuss, of the best covers and stories each week. Another one I'm excited about, Green Lantern 23, because it recalls one of my favorite Hal Jordan stories. The Spectre is back, and he's requesting Hal once again be his human entity. Who needs Jim Corrigan when you can have Hal Jordan? I am so excited to see Jeremy Adams take on this tale that gives me such reminiscent Ron Mars and Jeff Johns tales. Beautiful Mark Spears cover on the sea as well. So a lot of fun. And then also check with your local comic shop. You might be able to get a Hal Jordan Justice League ID card when Green Lantern 23 comes out. Just reach out to your local comic shop and see what they're doing. Another one I want to point out, Harley Quinn. As if this storyline hasn't been getting great, we're bringing Harley Quinn down to her roots while also having a very fun, much more slice of life-esque story as she tries to protect a new community. But with Mirka Andolfo now entering the fray as artist, I think this is only going to get better. So if you're not already on Harley Quinn, I think issue 51 is the point where you jump on. A lot of fun coming from Ghost Machine in the way of Hornsby and Halo and Hyde Street. Two of my favorite books, and I know they're two of Jeff John's favorite books. He's loving the Hornsby and Halo duo that Peter Tomasi is writing. And then in Hyde Street, our protagonist is going to bring it to another level in collecting souls as he tries to go after an entire theater at once. Definitely not the street you want to stumble upon on accident over in New York. But we're going to wrap things up as we talk about Justice League Unlimited, which is continuing on. There's a second printing. If for any reason you didn't get Lost Fantasy this week, you need to grab it. That second printing, doubling down on the Final Fantasy VII, with a Japanese Final Fantasy VII PlayStation homage. So that has me a little excited. Mega Man X, always a fun, series. This one now we're dealing with the X generation of Mega Man and these series of one-shots that each focus on Mega Man in different times and different games. Daniel Arsenault doing a incredible job. I haven't had the chance to flip through this one, but the previous issue was amazing. You guys are going to be so excited when these one-shots drop. I have to talk about Mr. Terrific Year One. Al Letson is going to give us the origin of Mr. Terrific, Michael Holt, before we get to see him on the big screen this summer for Superman. And of all the characters to be thrown into Superman from the DC universe, Mr. Terrific is not who I was expecting, but I am beyond excited. I loved this character in Jeff Johns and James Robinson's JSA. And I am excited to get Al Letson, who is a well-known television writer, on Mr. Terrific for a 6-issue origin. Year ones are always big, from Batman Year One to even the Superman Year One Black Label book. So Mr. Terrific getting a Year One should be an exciting one. And I really wish, this is not something every comic shop will get, but I really wish this is an open order. The Dennis Cohen cover is phenomenal. All right. Those are, for the most part, the big ones coming from DC. I have to give a nod to Superman 26, especially spinning out on the recent issue 25's epic twists. But take a look at lunardistribution.com to see everything that is on FOC this week. I think it's time we cut to our top 10, however. So, Jay, if you have the ability to, can you bring over our top 10 list for May 5th FOC? All right, starting off at number 10, we have the all new Venom number 7 cover. This is the David Baldeón spoiler variant. Here's the spoiler. I'm showing it to you now. A wonderful homage to that Amazing Spider-Man annual, which was the wedding of Peter Parker and Mary Jane, except Mary's got a new significant other this time, and it seems to be a bit of a symbiote. I love that we're getting that homage. I love the Venom heart in the background. And it's rare that we get to share the spoiler with you. So this is kind of cool seeing the spoiler cover in advance, because often the spoiler variants end up going for a significant sum in the aftermarket. They're often under-ordered because your local comic shop doesn't know what the cover is. You get to see it this time, so let them know you want this so it doesn't disappear from the shelf before you get a chance. Then a wonderful homage to Friday the 13th with Feral number 13. Tony doing an incredible job with Alan on this, because I love that we, instead of having the traditional hockey mask, if you pay close attention, there's something leading to that light leaking through that is not simply the holes of breathability for that goalie mask. Beautifully hidden and subtle art with the cat faces in Feral 13. Then Harley Quinn 51 has a great cover by Elizabeth Torque. I love its inside the mind of Harley Quinn. And this reminds me so much of one of my favorite recent graphic novels that came out of Europe as well as was reproduced in America by Titan, Inside the Mind of Sherlock Holmes. But this is notably less organized than that masterpiece. It is a frightening thing seeing into the mind of Harley. I mean, Jay, is that a world you want to visit?
Sometimes I feel like I live in that world, man.
It's a great cover, and I think it'll draw a lot of attention. Once again, reminding you that Mirka Andolfo doing the interiors on that. Elizabeth Torque, crazy cover. Mirka Andolfo, crazy interiors. Then in spot 7, now there is a cool one. Edwin Huang doing a Mega Man X where you get to see that. What are those things called? Where we get to see the inside. I used to buy the DK books that did this all the time with inside Star Wars, materials, or inside like a shark or a human. Jay, do you remember what that term is?
It's not bisection, is it?
Bisection. There we go.
Okay.
Yes. See, this is why we keep Jay around. He's the smart one here. I'm just chaos today. Then in spot 6, now this is a unique one. This is actually the cover to X-Men 17, as we are going to start a series of Phineas and Ferb homages. Remember, Phineas and Ferb is coming back to Disney. We're also going to be getting new original graphic novels, thanks to the incredible Joshua Pruitt, who's one of the creators and storyboard artists of Phineas and Ferb. But now we're getting Phineas and Ferb homages on Disney books, or on Marvel books, because the Disney homages on Amazing Spider-Man and Fantastic Four weren't enough. I am really excited to see these Phineas and Ferb pieces. I know my son is going to love them, but there's a whole generation of kids that are now adults that will likely be all over these. And, anything with magic, even a Disney alteration of magic, is going to get attention. So Phineas and Ferb X-Men 17 cover.
I like how this cover doesn't make you guess like some of the other Disney Marvel ones, where it has a team on the outside, but that's not what the book's about.
Yeah. So I'm going to be excited to see when Phineas and Ferb take over more unique and darker books like Ghost Rider. Then we have VR Troopers #1. I want to point out this because it is a Goni Montez cover. Now, Goni Montez really became big doing the Power Ranger helmet covers. So doing a VR Trooper helmet cover, I think this will draw a lot of attention. Some of those helmet covers go insane on the aftermarket. They're definitely beloved amongst the Power Ranger fans. So I think this will be what will drive some Power Ranger fans to VR Troopers. And for VR Trooper fans who haven't checked out Power Rangers, here's the big one. I think Goni Montez is the cover to have. Then in spot 4, an homage to For Your Eyes Only. Probably one of my favorite James Bond movie posters. But Tyler Boss taking it to a new level. There is a censored version of this, which we would call the tighty whitey version. But what was the term that you and Kyle had for this cover, Jay?
Basically, the black box over the ass.
Black box over the ass cover. Thankfully, this is polybagged, so if you want to buy this, it is an uncensored cover when it comes to you in your store, but there is a censorship of a nice poly bag before you get to it. I imagine it's going to be a little bit more than ass showing off on this cover. And I am so thankful that robot is covering our protagonist's eyes. But we're taking everyone down with this. Has been a wonderful series. The first 2 issues have been absolutely amazing. Matthew Rosenberg knows what he's doing on this book. And Tyler clearly bringing it to another level with this James Bond homage that goes too far. So that is number 3. As we hit down to the last 2. We hit to our last 3. Yes, never mind. You're right. We're last 3. I'm off. Umbrella Academy Plan B. We have a Dustin Nguyen cover. This is perhaps my favorite Umbrella Academy cover since Jim Lee's cover of Umbrella Academy #1 for Dallas. Dustin hitting all of our characters in the Sparrows. I'm excited. Again, Netflix series was great, but this comic I think is going to bring it to another level. Beautiful Dust in the Wind piece. But when we talk about Pride Month, this is the one I'm most excited about. George Takei has a great history with comics. He did a multi-award winning masterpiece called They Called Us Enemy that is more relevant than ever right now, talking about his childhood in a concentration camp in America. His new book follows that up in It Rhymes with Decay. And if you can't find out what rhymes with decay, I'll say that Pride Month is a good hint. This is a wonderful piece talking about George's adulthood as he came to an awareness of his sexuality while also becoming the legend that is Sulu on Star Trek and many other parts of his life. If you read They Called Us Enemy, you know that this creative team knows how to tell a powerful and emotional story, and it will continue on with It Rhymes with Decay. I think this is a perfect book for June this year, hitting into Pride Month, and also just a book that we can all enjoy, because one of my favorite things in talking to George Takei after he released They Called Us Enemy was I had the assumption that George was going to have some resentment towards America, a country that put him in a concentration camp. And that is not the case. He stated that he loves America because it is only in this country where a man like him could accomplish everything that he did, feel as loved and welcomed as he does. And I think this book will really touch on those topics coming out of They Called Us Enemy to remind us some of the best parts of America, some of the best parts of the world we live in, and some of the best people in the world we live in. I think that George always has a wonderful, uplifting perspective on things, and this book has me beyond excited. So definitely reach out to your local comic shop and let them know you want It Rhymes with Decay. And let's see if you can figure out what the word is that rhymes with decay. Finally, let's get to the number one pick of the week. It's Jeff himself, Jeff the Land Shark, getting a brand new series from Kelly Thompson with this amazing Ricky Agawa cover. This is a foil cover as Jeff discovers how delicious are the Infinity Gems. I mean, I'm just out of your curiosity, Jay. Jelly bean to Laffy Taffy. Where do you value the Infinity Gems in their flavor?
I would say purple, definitely Laffy Taffy.
Ooh.
The rest of them, those Starburst jelly beans.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Because of this cover, I'm down to taste the rainbow. Too bad of a joke. Too early to snap.
Heyo.
All right. No, Jeff the Land Shark has me beyond excited. I think this foil cover is going to steal it, but this is also coming from the guy who knows he's going to buy every single cover on Jeff the Land Shark #1 and probably every Jeff book ever made. So I am excited for this one. Definitely let your local comic shop know which covers you want on not only Jeff the Land Shark, because we all know you're all getting Jeff the Land Shark, but on all the amazing books that you want to get pre-ordered and pulled at your local comic shop this weekend. Obviously, make sure you visit your local comic shop this weekend for Free Comic Book Day this Saturday, May 3rd. Do a double back there on May 4th for May the Force Be With You. Get a huge Star Wars shout out there. I love Kyle really getting those Infinity Gem jokes in. Remember to pick up something not only for free, but buy something at your local comic shop to show the support as you're getting in your orders before Monday, May 5th. Jay, what else do we have on the EXP this weekend?
So we're gonna have a little bit of a break between you and the next show, but it's 7 Eastern, 6 Central. We're gonna have original art with Nick, and on that show, it's not just about the art, though. Nick does have a lot of art to show tonight. It's the stories Nick has. Like to me and to a lot of the folks, the art's just a bonus. but it's just being there with Nick that just makes that show so amazing. And he's going to have Thundercats, looks like some Thunderbolts. He's going to have some other stuff, maybe some Spawn. I don't know if those are for sale or for show because I haven't got the price guide yet. But Nick we always have a great time on that show. If you've never been, folks, 7 Eastern, 6 Central on the Experience, original art with Nick, it's just an awesome time. And then after that, at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, we are going to have Friday Night Live with Nancy McCann and Dawn from Comics Unlimited in Cleveland, Tennessee. So should be a very fun night. Friday is one of my nights. I love all the shows on here, but Friday is one of my faster nights because it's such a blast. So come hang out with us.
Yeah, I absolutely love both shows, and art with Nikki is amazing. I mean, just last week he gave away thousands of dollars worth of art, I think, like for free. And then on top of that, with Thunderbolts in theaters, the idea that you can go tune into this show, hear all these great tales about artists from one of the men who is so entrenched in comics. He is a pillar at this point. And then buy an original page from Thunderbolts. It doesn't get better. So definitely tune in later tonight with not only Nikki, but then Nancy. So you can buy some amazing comics. I'm sure they'll probably have some Thunderbolts books that you can grab and other relevant, amazing comics. So always fun here at the EXP. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with everyone so they can get their comics orders into your local comic shop as soon as possible, so you can guarantee these amazing comics each week are sitting there waiting for you. You don't miss out. You're not paying the aftermarket value. You are grabbing them from your local comic shop because you support local and love sequential art. Thank you guys all for watching. We'll be back next week.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.